Hey guys, welcome to my channel, and like always, I'm Brian. So, I'm constantly fixing old furniture and things like that, instead of throwing it away, or I buy things or get things that are basically being thrown away, and I fix them so that I can use them. Been doing that a while now, and I figured, why don't I show you guys how I fix, box-shaped furniture with a little bit of Chandlee style. So right here I have a dresser drawer, and it doesn't have to be a dresser drawer. It can be cabinets, bookshelves. This is going to be one just for, like I said, box-shaped furniture. And so you get cheap furniture, let's say from a department store. It's really cheap wood. It falls apart. The plastic hardware breaks. You don't have to throw it away. There's a pretty easy way to fix it, and I found out that by fixing it this way, it actually reinforces it well enough that it will survive being moved around, or even children, which, a lot of things don't survive children, which is why this is broken in the first place, actually. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tear this apart first, but you guys are going to need, at least the necessity tools. This only has Phillips screws, so I got a Phillips screwdriver. I'm going to try to super glue some of the hardware back together, just not as a permanent solution, just kind of hold it together while the wood glue dries. You don't need Gorilla Glue. This is just what I happen to have. Any kind of wood glue will work just fine. And honestly, I think when I start putting cheap furniture together, I'm just going to glue it together to start out with so that I don't run into this problem. And then, have some paper towels on reserve in case you use too much glue and you want to clean it up. And then any other pieces you can find that will help put this back together. I just happen to have a little chunk of plastic and an extra screw that I found when I pulled this drawer out. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and pull this apart and get everything prepped up, and then I'll show you guys where to go from there. Alright, so I'm only going to use this to pull it apart because I want to be able to use my hands to put it back together. I don't want to accidentally break it. So let's go ahead and check the plastic hardware on it. I thought some of it was cracked. Yeah, like right there, that's cracked. This is cracked a little. This is completely broken off. And surprisingly, this isn't broken, but that's probably because this chunk of wood right here fell out. Just to give the super glue plenty of time, I'm gonna go ahead and glue all this stuff back together and try not to glue my fingers to anything. Like I said, I'm not too concerned with this plastic hardware surviving at this point. I just want it to be there to provide some kind of support for what I'm going to be doing in a minute. Okay. Make sure to work it back and forth so the super glue gets in there, and I'm not too worried about that, but I will wipe it off. Just because I don't want a big streak of glue running down the side of this. I mean, this is for kids' clothes. I don't want it to have clothes stuck to the inside of it. It'd be a good time. And then put that away. So the first thing I'm going to do, now that I've got those drying right now, is I'm going to insert this just to see what it looks like. Alright, so we do have a little bit of an edge out here, and hopefully this all holds together properly. So, just so that there's plenty of reinforcement. I should have opened this before I started this video. Boom. Okay, so probably an obvious move, or I guess I shouldn't say that, but one thing I like to do is make sure that all the seams have glue in them. Calling it an obvious move is not very nice. It's just only obvious to me because I've done this a whole bunch of times. It actually took me a little while of figuring it out and doing woodworking classes and things like that to know, not to put too much glue, and two, to identify good places to put glue. Oh, actually I didn't close that. Yeah, just a nice thin bead down this seam right here will be just fine. So that way it gives it somewhere to grab. Rotate this up because I want the glue to fall down into it. I don't want it to just hang out at the edge of the seam. I want it to go all the way down to the bottom because that's where it's really going to matter. Also, if you have old glue, make sure to shake it really well first so that it doesn't come out all clumpy. That's just something that can happen with older glue. And try to put more towards this end right here so that as you insert the thing, it pushes the glue down. Make sure you got the wood side out. And I'm going to slide this down in to here. Make sure everything's all lined up. Good. Perfect. I just put a little bit in there. I don't want to get too excited because I'm going to go back over it just to make sure all the seams are properly supported with glue. Carefully flip it. I guess I should have put it on like this first. That way I can actually see where the holes belong. Okay. So by hand, I'm going to put these screws back in. Now we've got the problem of this corner right here. I can't really do anything about it because the screw won't go in anywhere. So I'm going to cheat and I'm going to fill this corner with glue as a way to get around that problem and give the screw something to hold on to. So the screw is in there anchored into the glue, which is nice. So the one final thing that I like to do is, especially on since this is potential to getting pushed through, I'm going to go ahead and just put a bead of glue all the way around the edge of this to really hold it into place. You're thinking, that's a waste of glue, or that it's overkill. Well, you know what? I don't want this to fall apart. So using a little extra glue to help support it always has worked out for me. You don't have to if you don't want to, but this is the way I do it Chandlee style. I had noticed that there's some cracking here in the particle board, so I'm going to go ahead and do the vertical surfaces here in the back to help support them as well. If you really wanted to go overboard, you could probably put a bead down at the bottom, but I think I'll be fine. I don't like the way this side turned out, so I'm going to go over it really quick one more time. There's just not enough in there to make me happy. And I was pressing it right up against the edge with, this is angled. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's angled like this. I have it jammed right into the seam where the two pieces of wood come together, and I'm squeezing the bottle so that the glue goes in between them, not just on top of them. I've given this project about 24 hours to dry, probably actually a little bit more. And as you can see, all along here, the glue is pretty much dried clear, except for it's a little yellow in the corner, but you can't notice it from far away, and this is the bottom side of the drawer anyway. The inside of the drawer is where I'm most proud of. That really did dry clear, and I know there's a little bit of missing gaps in places, but there's enough glue that it really holds it together, and it's really strong. I also went ahead and I put glue across the front here to help hold this in place, because that was really where it broke off in the first place, and that's where this part fell out. But there's enough glue here that if I even press down on it this hard, it's not going anywhere. It's not going to pop out. You don't have to worry about your kid's clothes falling through or whatever heavy object you put in the drawer falling through the bottom, because the glue is pretty much just going to hold it in place. And even in this corner here, the glue is just a little bit wet still, but the seams are all pretty much dried out, and the wet glue is far enough back in there that this drawer is completely usable without having to worry about anything like that. So guys, if you found this video useful, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate all the feedback you guys give me. If you have any more questions, I'm more than willing to answer them either in the comments or in my social media, which all my social media is in the description. So feel free to follow me there and send me messages. I'm perfectly okay with that. I need to go put this back in my son's dresser. So this was fixing a dresser drawer done Chandlee style.